everyone. It is Sunday night. Still Sunday, Lee. It's not Friday, right? It's Sunday night, 9:30. Can only mean it's the APAT show. Welcome you all. Lee, we have two very special guests on tonight. Who do we have?
We do. Yes, we've kind of promised this for the last week or two, but on the back of the UK Team Championship up in Nottingham, we have Jordan and Shannon on the show. Good evening, both.
Hey, how you doing?
Good evening,
Very,
Jordan
very good
and
indeed.
Shannon. It's a bit like Graham Norton, this, guys, except we're not Graham Norton, and our audience is a little bit smaller, but we're going to talk about the UK Team Championship, right? And we're going to sort of come back to that. But the big story is, having entered this thing and done well, Jordan, done well, and obviously you're a team, right, with Shannon, you sort of broke the internet a bit. Which we weren't expecting. I remember sort of leaning into Shannon at some point on the Sunday and saying, do you mind if I just put your picture up on the internet? And she went, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And we did it. And you must have got about 400,000 views. How did that feel?
It was a bit crazy. We were looking at it and we were like, oh, it's almost going to get 1,000. It's going to get 1,000 likes.
It won't be more than that.
It won't be more than 1,000 likes. Oh, we woke up the next morning, 2,000 likes. Oh, it's not going to get more than that. Oh, 3,000 likes, and just
And
then it just kept going. And then saw it had about 80 odd shares, and we looked where they got shared, and it was all around the world. It was everywhere it got shared. It was a bit crazy. It
got very widely shared, and that's unusual, right? That's very unusual. I mean, we put 1 million posts up on the internet, and they don't get shared like that. And, on our forum and stuff like that in the past, we've had 100 million views. So over time, we've had tons and tons of stuff that has all done pretty well from an interest point of view. But I don't think we've had anything where, just a single little post has captured the imagination in the way that the two of you have. And this story isn't about you, Jordan, it's about both of you, right? And the team effort and stuff like that, and the fact that you succeeded and what have you. And I think where I would like to start with this chat, right, because definitely there'll be quite a lot of our members who'll be super interested in your poker experience and both of your poker experiences. And who knows, maybe some of those people from around the world who, I found it super funny that they would sort of respond in the thread with stuff like, does he do this, or do you think he does that? As if like you might not see it. Is this like it's a thread? Of course you're going to see it. You're going to read the comments, right? It was amazing. But I suppose the first question, right, let's just get this one out of the way straight away. What level of vision do you have? Because I guess the big story there was, you were a blind poker player, making your way, navigating through a big multi-day tournament, doing it ever so well. So from a pure vision point of view, I guess what level of vision do you have? When did you start having vision problems? What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's kind of a long story.
We've got time, my friend. We've got time.
I was diagnosed young when I was only 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I got diagnosed with something called retinitis pigmentosa. It's quite a common eye disease. But the type I have is quite rare because it all different mutations, and the type I have is quite rare. So I had quite good vision up until the age of about 18, 19, where it started to deteriorate quite rapidly. And then, also when I was 19, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis as well. So I've got
word.
I know, so it was kind of a bit of a double. It was a double whammy there. But then, like now, the vision I have now, it's not nothing. It's not nothing useful. It's just lights and shadows. It's basically all it is now. And this eye is completely dead. That one's gone.
Yeah.
And it will continue to deteriorate. It was only before the pandemic I could play poker by myself without Shannon's help because I could see my whole I could see my whole cards. I used to pick them up, hold them in front of my eye, and I could see them. And the people would read the board out for me. And do all that. So now luckily I found Shannon, who she is great, who is willing to sit there for hours on end, just whispering into my ear and telling me what's going on.
Lee and I feel we need awards for sitting at APAT events for hours on end. We feel we deserve awards. I can't believe Shannon just sits behind you.
Yeah.
And, it was amazing to see, Shannon. I have to say, absolutely amazing to see. Now, we're going to come back and talk to you, right? We're going to talk about that. But before we go there, in many respects, you've answered probably 1,000 questions that were going to be thrown at you, just in terms of telling us that, I guess, your love of poker, Ken, when you had sight, you had a degree of sight for sure. You were able to read your own cards up to, if you like, the not too distant past. And of course, it's degrading a lot further now. So let's simplify then. Where does your love of poker come from?
It comes from when I had to leave university because my MS got quite bad at that point, and it wasn't diagnosed, so we didn't know. So I was going through a big relapse, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I could just be able to. I used to have a Mac, which I used to be able to zoom in and do all that, so I could still see to play poker on that. And I used to play on 888 poker.
Yeah,
and that's what the first experience of like poker was, basically playing the micro stakes there and then going up and up on that. And then it went through, my MS got really bad and finally got diagnosed, and then I lost a lot of vision quickly as well. And I was in such a bad place as well when that happened. And then I got then given my guide dog quick. Within 3 months of applying for getting a guide dog, I got one. And I was like, oh, this is good. So it gets me out of bed, it gets me going, it gets me walking, gets me exercising again. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then one day I just went, screw it, I'm going to go down to Bristol by myself with my guide dog. Like, in that, my mum was petrified, bless her. You can imagine.
To be honest, if you were fully sighted, she'd still have been petrified you were going into Bristol, right? That's not a surprise to us.
I was 19. I was like, screw it, I'm going to go to Bristol.
Yeah.
And I played my first live tournament then. It was when they used to do the Sunday games there, the 5K guarantee Sunday games there. And I came fourth in my first tournament there. And ever from that, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And then I looked around in the areas at the local poker leagues, and and then I got introduced to Fair Play, so I used to play in Fair Play Poker League and then, and and that's kind of it. And then I'm just hooked now.
That's pretty cool. I have to say, you've got a wonderful attitude for a guy who is having challenges, right? I love that get up and go attitude of just fuck it. And we can say that it's Sunday night, right? I'm just going to do what I want to do, and I really like that. Is that part of the attraction, Shannon? Do you like that sort of spirit that Jordan shows?
On the spot now.
Oh God! Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I'm very much an organizer. So when I've organised something and he goes, "No, we're doing this now. I have to do this," I'm a bit like, "Okay." But for 90% of the time, it's good.
Well, that sounds like standard relationship stuff.
Yeah.
That Lee and I are fully across that. We should do a show on relationships, Lee. Maybe this could be a bit of a pilot, right? Let's see if we can split these two up before the end of the night, shall we?
Let's not.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
So tell me, Shannon, what's it like? I guess sitting behind Jordan and supporting him through a poker experience. First of all, do you play poker yourself? Do you know the game? What was the first time you did this, and how did you find it?
So I didn't know anything about poker till I met Jordan, and I understand it now, and I try to understand what's going on, but a lot of the time I still don't quite get it. So I honestly I watch and just tell him his cards, see what's happening, try and figure out myself. A lot of the time I'm wrong, but I don't really.
Do you ever advise him, Shannon? Do you ever say, no, fold, don't play that, fold?
Well, if I want to go home early because I'm getting tired, so the wrong card might come out.
Pair of aces, go all in, Jordan.
That's the question I was going to ask. If he's playing a bit passively and you're getting a bit bored, do you just occasionally just go, yeah, you've got pocket aces? Just so he can get a bit more aggressive in his play.
Oh God. So, well, to be fair, sometimes I just don't know what he's gonna do anyway, depending on what he's got. Well, a lot of the time when I tell him his cards as well, and it's quite bad of me, I forget what I tell him.
Yeah,
So
to be honest,
I'll be-
sounds like
I'll tell
every
you.
other poker player we know, to be honest, that whole story does.
Sometimes when he goes all in and I can't remember what he's had, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening?
Listen, a big part of poker, and Jordan would certainly know this, is reads, right? So you're sat
handy.
opposite somebody, you're looking at you're right. Normally, you're looking at somebody, you're looking for a little signal, right? Are they scratching their nose? Do they get excited when they look at their hand? You know, all of that sort of stuff. And to be honest, it's overblown. It has to be said, but nonetheless, it's a part of the game. So Jordan, that isn't as easy clearly for you to do. You might have been able to do that some years ago. Clearly, next to impossible today. Do you miss that in your game? Or are you more of a maths style player, i.e. you're playing the numbers? I mean, how do you make your decisions?
Well, it's a bit of both. Obviously, you'll always work out the story. Bet
Yeah.
sizing is majorly important.
Yeah.
Bet sizing, you work out the story, and people do towels, and people, and you can still work out what people's towels are. Not obviously in a physical sense, but for example, someone who's ruffling their chips.
Yeah.
This is a really good one, but I shouldn't really say. But
No,
like,
do.
Yeah,
This is
people
good.
This is good. People who ruffle their chips. If you notice, what you get every one player on the table constantly throughout the whole table. They'll be there ruffling their chips, ruffling their chips, ruffling their chip. Notice when they're suddenly bluffing,
Yeah.
they'll ruffle less chips, and you can hear it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's quite interesting. They'll be ruffling.
So-
They'll be going, "Oh, I'm ruffling 7, 8 chips." Then suddenly they'll be ruffling 6 or 3, just going.
But Jordan, with your hearing, are you able to pick up which players are doing that, or do you have to say to Shannon, right, who's riffling the chips? That, you know, which seat number's doing that, or how do you pick that up?
I can just hear where it's coming from.
Oh, Lee,
Okay,
I
good.
was
yeah.
I was on the
Yeah.
money here. Listen, I'm going to play this clip. This was your rather sad, but nonetheless triumphant exit in Nottingham. I'm just going to play the clip because I referred to that. I thought you probably had a super keen sense of hearing, because there were a few things that Lee said before, and everybody hears what Lee says, right? But there were a couple of times when I thought you sort of looked up. I thought you were sort of hearing stuff. I referred to it in this clip, but this clip is very much about, the end of your journey in Nottingham at our event. You've plenty more bigger events in your future, I have no doubt. But let me play this just for anybody who's out there who maybe didn't see this. This is Jordan and Shannon in operation on the final table at the UK Team Championship. Let me play it.
We're a minute away from level
Lee-
up here. Playing
Lee, I'm
40-minute blinds. So
I'm going to hypothesize here for a minute, which is probably quite dangerous, but chances are Jordan has an extremely keen sense of hearing. He's probably really hearing everything you say in a way that maybe some of the others aren't. Because I know he's very reactive to whatever you say.
the whole table hears pretty much everything I say.
Oh, yeah.
At this table, I'm closer, so nobody really misses anything that I say.
It's an open mic job.
Yeah, so I'm always very careful when they're in a hand as well. So it's not to say we often say that at the final at the table thing. No, Jordan's all in again, but we often say that we're right close to the players, so we're often careful. We sometimes go a little bit quiet when they're in a hand because we don't want to say anything that affects the action. We'll have a bit of fun with the guys at the table, but very much we're aware of what they're doing. Jordan's all in, and Gaz is asking for a count, even though I'm pretty sure we know because Jordan said what it was going to be, which is 1.46 million. So I'm guessing that's what it's going to be. Gaz has made the call. Paul folds. Round to Neil, who's in the small blind this time. He's going to fold as well. I think Rob would step away from the table. So basically, it's going to be Jordan all in with a call from Gaz is where we're going to be here. 1.46 is agreed. We're just getting that sorted out. It's going to be Jordan against Gaz. Jordan will be at risk here. And it's pocket deuces for Jordan. It's pocket tens for Gaz. If the tens hold here, that's silver medal locked up. Let's see if a deuce can hit this board. The flop is 7, king, 3. That's no good. We're looking for a deuce for Jordan. 6 on the turn. Deuce and only a deuce on the river. And it's a jazz. And we're going to lose Jordan in 7th place. A round of applause for Jordan, guys. They're very
Fantastic
well done to
effort,
him.
Jordan and
Finishing
Shannon.
and a fantastic effort from Shannon as well. Superb.
Absolutely superb.
Well done to the pair of them. Brilliant. And huge congratulations to the Midlands Freelancers, who are going to finish in 2nd place for the team event. And Jordan was part of the Fair Play team that are finishing 3rd. So superb effort from all of them. Jordan's going to pick up £400 for finishing in 7th place, plus his share of the team event money as well.
And a bronze medal.
We'll go and get that sorted out. And a bronze medal for the team event as well. So we'll let Jordan depart and sort of
Absolutely
the table
fantastic.
good luck. Been great following Jordan and Shannon on this final table. And we're down to 6 now, guys. So down to 6.
Yeah, incredible effort.
Oh, there we go, down to 6. It was really, really sad to see you exit, Jordan, because it was such a great story, you know. And of course, we see lots of good players go deep in APAT events, and we've seen lots of great sort of APAT players go on and win really big events, you know, worldwide. But it was such a pretty cool story. So, tell us about your experience at Dusk Till Dawn. You know, how did people react to the fact that you were blind, that you had Shannon behind you? Because that long thread was super interesting in terms of some people were saying, "Oh, it shouldn't be allowed." Now, I have to say they weren't APAT players, but you know, I mean, how do people react to your challenging them with your condition?
The best thing is normally it's the other players who react to the bad players. I've never had a player who's disagreed with it. And when anyone knows me on the table and a new player comes in and say, "Oh, what's going on here?" the whole table get mad. They all stand up and go, "He's blind, leave him alone." He's playing. yeah. And it's quite good. So I've never actually had an issue with it. Once I think they realise. I think when people make those comments about, "Oh, it shouldn't be allowed," they don't actually know what's involved in it. All Shannon does is sit there, look at the cards and do this. You can't tell me any information. Like, there's nothing... She can't tell me anything of importance in that quick 2-second whisper.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, well, there were very few people who were saying that, and I found it remarkable that anyone would suggest it. As we get a random thumbs up on the screen. I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. Love that. Very few people saying that sort of stuff. By far and away, the majority of people were saying what a great story it was. And I suppose that's a sort of an interesting question too. Are you tired of people saying, "Oh, how sweet is that? How nice is that? How courageous this young man is"? Do you feel like, "Oh, I wish they'd just let me get on with it"? I mean, how are you in terms of that sort of thing?
50-50, if I'm completely honest. Obviously, I appreciate all the kind words from everybody. But I also felt bad for the winner of the whole event. Like I said back to Shannon, I was like, "It's not really fair for the winner. How many likes has the winner got?" And Shannon was like, "Oh, 50." And I was
not many. I have to say, not many.
And I was like, it's taken a bit away from him. And I like people to judge me on my poker, not obviously. But it's a novelty thing. A blind person at a poker table.
Yeah, well, it is a novelty thing, but with it not being novelty, it's quite serious, really. But I think it shows an awful lot of call it passion for the game, or an awful lot of get up and go. And I think people really like and respect that. It's easy to see that that's the case here. So in relation to poker, you've obviously been playing for a few years. You've clearly got game. Where do you want to go to? Is this like a hobby for you? Is this something that you'd like to actually start making, money from? Clearly, you're capable of doing that. Would you like to be a pro? Do this, more internationally? I mean, where's your ambition?
Well, ambition for poker. Well, especially after it went a bit viral after the APAT. I was like, I said to Shannon, I was like, could I actually do this for a proper living? If I have one big score in one big tournament and it blows up, no, you never know where it goes. There could be sponsorship, there could be backing, there could be staking, there could be all sorts of opportunities. Because I know I'm blind and whatever, but like sometimes I think I should use it in my advantage a bit. If people are so enthralled by it, I'm like, I might as well take them up on it,
Yeah. I mean, yes, it would be the short answer. I mean, it all comes down to, because in poker, you don't get any charity in poker, right? It's a very competitive game. And I've always said that about APAT, that while we're a super friendly community and we've been around for 17 years, and a lot of our players have gone on to win World Series of Poker bracelets, WPTs, EPTs, you name it, they've gone on and done it. Despite all of the good stuff, when it comes down to the actual poker, it's super competitive. Everybody wants to win. So nobody's going to give you anything in poker. It sort of comes down to whether you have the game that can do that. You know, if there are then some other factors that make you more, I don't know, marketable, or, you know, because it's all about reach these days. You know, the operators, whoever might sponsor a player, what they're looking for is eyeballs, right? How can my investment in this player return more interest in my brand? That's ultimately the way it works. It's no different whether they're sponsoring APAT or sponsoring individual players. So, you know, whatever you have in your locker, you use, I guess. But the foundation has to be bloody good poker player, has the capability of moving up. So, you know, at what level are you playing at the moment? I mean, the APAT game was a 120 buy-in, obviously part of a team event. Do you play above that from a tournament's point of view? Do you play cash at all? I mean, you know, where is your level?
Well, I played in the UK PC last week.
Yeah, how did that go?
Yeah. It went really well for the first 2 hours, and then the card deadness it was like 8 hours of card.
Shannon let you down. Shannon let you down. I hear what you're saying. That's fair enough. Yeah. You got to do, you know, I mean, it's like a golfer with a caddy. And if you have enough bad results, I mean, do you sack Shannon? Do you say, sorry, Shannon, you can't do this any longer for me? You're looking forward to that, Shannon, right?
Yeah, I like almost tripled up within the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
Called someone's bluff off quite nicely. He got mad, he stormed off. But but then the card deadness, it just went on and on and on of nothing. And then I kept getting marginal hands, you know, like the 9-10 suiteds and the 8-9 suiteds and the small pocket pairs. Well, I'm going to see a flop with, but I might put in a re-raise on the button or in the cut-off, etc. But nothing, again, dry flops, trying to play the range, but they always had it. They always had something. And then I didn't get the variables. They didn't come with me that time.
Do you think, Jordan, does not having sight make it harder for you to bluff light?
No, I don't think so. I think it's actually an advantage, because I'll sit down at a poker table and people think I play just because people have a quick misconception of a blind player. Yeah. And they'll think, oh, he'll play pretty ABC. He'll only bet big when he's got it. He won't bet if he hasn't got it. He'll be easy to bluff. So you can actually, So I try to play the opposite of that until people get to know me.
You know, you're destroying your career ambitions here by giving all of your secrets away. Don't give them all away. Was it Doyle Brunson or some of those early poker players? They didn't want to play on TV because they didn't want to give away their secrets. They didn't want to show their hole cards back in the day. That was part. So what type of player would you say you are? What's your natural game? Are you aggressive? Are you sort of tight? Are you more statistics orientated? I mean, you know, how do you play?
I kind of try to use everything to my... All depends. I try to use everything. So, like, I need to find the good spots to be loose and aggressive. You need to find the spots to be tight. And you need to... the maths is always in my head.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, the maths is always in my head to work out the pot odds. And so, yeah, it's always in the... what the odds are, how much equity I have and expected value and implied odds. That's all. Everything is always going through my head.
So how do you improve your game today, Jordan? A lot of players would pick up a book, and I guess there are audiobooks. I don't know how widely available they are for poker, but how do you develop your game today from where you are?
Yeah, I listen to audiobooks. I've got a couple of Alex Fitzgerald books downloaded.
Yeah.
And I listen to Jonathan Little online as well. And
Great.
I follow all the YouTube creators, Rampage, Brad Owen, Andrew Neeme, all of those.
Yeah.
And I always follow them, and I always try to imply my game into what they're doing. And sometimes I think they're a bit crap. I think I've just got money to lose because
they're absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish, Jordan. I'm telling you now.
I know some of them I think, but
I go with Darrow Kearney. He's the only one that counts. Am I right, Lee? It's Darrow Kearney. He's the one.
Dara's stuff is pretty good. If you and a lot of his stuff I think is now on audio as well. So I think I think you can get most of his training books on audio. I think somebody posted up the other day that they found it really useful to help them to get to sleep. Because Dara did the audio on the first book or something, and they said it was perfect because they couldn't get to sleep the other week. So it was good for that. I'm loving the chat. If obviously Shannon can see that I'm sometimes giggling. I'm laughing quietly in the background because some of the chat is absolutely brilliant. When you were talking earlier on about feeling bad about the winner, and your team captain from Nottingham, Ben is in the chat, who went, "It's okay, it's only Rob." So obviously the winner was Rob Swindells, who is a long-time APAT member. I think was pretty much there from the start, sort of in 2006. So and it was actually Rob's first ever individual gold medal. It's only taken him sort of 18 years to get there.
There he is.
But yeah.
And
So
we had a funny story.
Go on.
I was going to say we had a funny story with Rob. He came to me just before the final table started, and he said that his wife and 2 kids were super excited that he'd made the final table. I asked him, were they going to watch the stream? And he said, well, yeah, but they're going to watch Gladiator first. So I think Gladiators was back on ITV or whatever. That I had to watch Gladiators first, but they did tune in to see him win in the end. Lovely guy, maths teacher from Manchester, did well.
Yeah. Your nemesis from that final table, Gaz Howard, who was to your left, that we played the clip of earlier on. He is also in the chat as well. Also, Asa McGrath is in there, who I think was might have shared a table with you on day one by the looks of it as well. So he's in there as well. So lots of people from that weekend in having a listen to what you've got to say. Probably trying to work out. Yeah, how did he manage to run so deep, and what can I learn next time I come up against him? I reckon. Yeah. So, are you planning on? Obviously, you've played the UKPC now, but do you have plans for more live poker this year? Have you got anything kind of in your sights at the moment?
I do, but I haven't told this one yet.
Oh, hello. Right. Here we go live. Let's do it. Let's go.
I've looked at the WSOP circuit ring.
Oh, amazing.
Happening in March.
Going back to Nottingham, Lee. We're going back to Nottingham.
Yeah.
We're going to play the circuit.
All I said, I've looked at it. That's all so far. Yeah. I'm not going to commit anymore.
That's Lee, help me here if I'm wrong. That's an 1100 buy-in? Am I right for the ring, the main event?
Either 11 or 15. I can't remember which one it is.
I think it's 11 from memory, but step up event. How is our comfort level at sticking 1100 of your brand new English pound coins into Rob Young's hands as you sit with some serious sharks playing for a ring? How comfortable would you feel doing that?
Not comfortable.
Yeah, but that's good.
But yeah, it is good. It is good, but it's an opportunity.
Yeah,
I see it as an opportunity more than because if I did a deep run and I had eyes on that tournament, it would be such a big return of investment for me.
Yeah.
So
set you up.
I see it as worth it. I see it as worth it.
Yeah. Tell me, if I'm not mistaken, late on in the stream from Nottingham that we did, I think your mum and dad were in there offering good, wishes or whatever. I mean, how are they supporting you in terms of this as an interest? And, are they supportive of you putting more time into it, maybe more investment into it? How is all of that working out at home?
Was it your parents in it or mine?
Both of them.
Was it both of ours, was it?
Oh, there you go. She didn't tell you about yours. You see, she didn't tell you about yours.
To be honest, we don't really talk about it. we don't really talk. It's not really mentioned for poker talk.
Do they understand it, do you think?
Not really. My old man knows how to play, but not really. He likes playing
Yeah.
like the Governor Poker online, like the game online, and
Yeah.
But he doesn't
It's-
really. He doesn't know.
I that sounds like a similar situation to my parents until a little while ago, where I did okay in a comp, and therefore my dad got to watch some of it back, and then he was hooked on understanding the whole thing, and then all he wanted to talk about then when I went up to visit was that whole thing for for hours, because he was like, well, why did that person do that and that person do that? So he doesn't play the game at all, and really just knew that I played but didn't really have any understanding of it. But when they can actually sit and watch a stream and see what's going on, it's amazing how quickly you can pick up the game, isn't it? Really, that's what's the beauty of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like Shannon's dad, right? He never lets me live this down, and
He's a lovely guy, though, right? He's a lovely guy, though, Jordan, right?
I was over at his, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? Let's play a bit of poker." So he had some chips out and some cards, all the paper cards and the little plastic chips.
The travel poker.
The travel.
Yeah.
Right, and it was a game, and I had I still remember the hand. Which is quite sad. I had pocket jacks, and I went all in. He had ace 6. The flop came down already, and it was something like jack 4-5 or something. And I was like, "You need runner to win," and he got it, and he beat me. And he will not let it down. He goes, "Oh, you're supposed to be the good poker player, but I've beaten a pro." He keeps telling me. I'm like, "Oh,
You should tell him. You see,
isn't that always the way with non-poker players? Though
Yeah.
they think one hand means that that's them done.
Then you try to
they're better
explain
than
to him variance and everything. I tried to explain to him, "No, it's just variance." "Oh, what's variance?" "So that means, is it just a game of luck?" And then you'd have to go on about that, and it's like, and then he just goes
simplify
on
it. Just say, do you know, I like sitting down with 7 or 8 people on a Saturday night. It's a social game. You get to know them. You have a bit of a laugh. If you have a bit of momentum behind you and your luck holds, do you know what? You can actually win a lot of money while having some fun. I mean, that's how I tend to explain poker to people. I think a lot of people who aren't in the know think it's completely luck-based and therefore gambling. Whereas, of course, it's not really. I mean, you sink your £100 into a tournament, that money is gone, say goodbye to it. It might bring more money at some point later in the tournament, or it might not, but that's it. But thereafter, you can win with the best of it, you can win with the worst of it. Similarly, you can lose with either the best or the worst as well. So there's definitely a ton of skill involved in poker. So interesting. Parents on both sides seem a bit... no, don't really want to be too involved, but supportive at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, good. Okay, so
absolutely. I was just looking in the chat again. Des, Ben's back. He's got a suggestion for you, George.
I like it.
He said you should sell some shares for your WSOP circuit event. He said he's guaranteed to sell out.
I think he might.
Is his suggestion.
I think he might. Ben is not alone there, and we'll come back and we'll ask Jordan about that. And it's obvious that he's aware of staking because he's already mentioned it. Dan Williams, Poker News' own Dan Williams, is out there. The legend Jordan. Great to hear how he does it. Jordan, now I heard a rumor. Right, it's only a little rumor, might not be true, that you're going to be doing an interview with Poker News at some point. Maybe you've already done it.
No, I haven't done it yet. I'm still waiting on... Oh, God, I forgot his name. That's quite bad, isn't it? I forgot his name.
No, you'll be okay.
Is it Matty Pitt?
Matthew Pitt, yeah.
That's super Matt Pitt, we call him.
Super Matt Pitt, yes.
Yeah, he wanted to send me over the questions to write down, but for me, it's easier to do it over the phone. So obviously find some time in his schedule to book that in.
Oh, he's not busy.
Excellent.
He's not busy. It's just tell him to get on with it. Just say, get on with it, right? Get on with it. I'm hot at the moment. I want to do this thing while I'm hot at the top. I think it'll be brilliant. I mean, it's a really interesting story, right? At the end of the day, great poker player, got the final table. The rest of it is interesting. No more than that. There's a ton of people in the chat box, ton of stuff being, been asked. Ben Walton has said, book me 10%, right? So he's already in for 100 notes for the WSOPC attempt. Ace has said, the one time I make it to day 2 in the team event, Lee. Oh, I'm not sure what he's referring to there. He did make it to day 2.
I think I merely said I think he might have shared a table with Jordan on day 1, but maybe it was day 2. Quite possibly it could have been.
He did. I remember where he was, indeed. So Gaz says, what an amazing couple. So well done. I think you both come across as exactly that. Gaz went on to say, I had so many questions I wanted to ask, but I didn't know how, so left it. But then he posts, any questions, fire away. And nothing but respect for both. Nice. Gaz, he could still get timing tells based on how quick or slow they act. It'd be a bit like playing online but live. Yeah, I think you've sort of referred to that. Simon Trumper.
It is an interesting one, though. It's a fascinating one to understand the amount of information that you're taking in at the table, because not only, I guess, are you having to keep track of your own chip stack and know what's in the pot, and I'm guessing every once in a while you're just getting that double check so you roughly know where you're at. How much do you pick up? Because I'm very aware when we were doing the final table, and we made the comment in the bit of ET that we played that everybody on the table hears me because I don't really have much of an option. Was I a hindrance to you trying to pick up other information because there's a lot more commentary going on and chatter around the table, or
that's a good question.
Are you just able to absorb everything and then work out what's important and store it?
I kind of blame Shannon a little bit for that, because when you were going around talking on the table, Shannon kept laughing, saying, they're talking about you again. They're talking about you again.
I
knew there was something going on. There was the odd reaction happening.
The funny thing is, I've got. So some people don't even necessarily realize. So how it works is similar to how we are now. So I'm often having a conversation with Des, but people at the table are only hearing effectively half of that conversation. And sometimes I start laughing, or Des will say something and I respond back, and you can see them looking, go, what the hell are they talking about? But of course, a lot of the time, because I've got headphones in so I can hear Des, I'm not always hearing what's being said at the table necessarily. So I don't think I even heard you, Shannon, at the final table saying anything. So the whole thing's all a little bit weird and wonderful, but you just gather that information in then, and you're able to just keep track of all of that. Because I think I said on the stream, so there's players that could learn some valuable lessons from you on just keeping track of where they are in a tournament, information wise, instead of always having to ask, is it my turn to act? Is it this chips? What size is there? What size is that bet? You just kind of are in the know, yeah?
Yeah, it's just, obviously just listen more.
I'm constantly telling you what's going on.
Yeah, of course. Just listen more. And luckily I was short, unfortunately, I was short stacked on the final table. So chip stacks didn't really matter too much, because I think I was second shortest. The only person shorter than me was Mike Errington, and he only had like 3 big blinds, and I had like 6. So it was quite irrelevant what other people's stacks were.
It's a good point. You were looking for a spot.
So interesting. If you'd have been stacked, it would have been a lot tougher, because you're then having to work out bet sizing a little bit more and understanding a bit more regarding percentages as to what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
Rich Baker, bless his cotton sock, said, Ben and Shannon, the true spirit of APAT. Puts a couple of kisses there. Oh, Rich, I don't think Ben's with Shannon. I mean, Shannon is. Is there anything you want to tell us live on air? I don't think so. I think Rich is just mixing up names. I mean, who knows? Who knows? What happens in Bristol stays in Bristol, right? Awesome stuff. So what happens relationship-wise, right? When, Jordan, you say, I really want to play this poker this weekend, or this 4-day tournament or whatever. What happens, Shannon, if you're not free, or if you don't want to go? Are you both able to work that stuff out, or has that not been an issue so far?
It's
Well-
not been an issue so far.
Well, it hasn't, but I would play a lot more.
Yeah.
If I don't ask Shannon, I don't take the piss.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
ask
you're
her.
reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reasonable. We made a deal probably about 6 or even a year ago. now. Yeah. We only go to Dust Till Dawn to play probably once a month, maybe twice if there's an event
Or
on.
like January.
Yeah, but
Like once a month.
once a month or once every
that's not
2
bad.
months.
That's not bad at all.
No.
And tell me, Jordan, can you play online at all?
Not now, no.
And there's no accessibility aids on poker sites because
No,
you would have
nothing.
thought in this day and age it would be the simplest thing in the world for an online site to have, voice orientated information. You'd have thought that would be relatively simple.
Annoyingly, I can't use a computer.
Yeah.
Because goes back to the MS actually.
Okay.
My first big relapse for my MS, my whole left side went
Oh,
funny.
jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a nightmare. But it's all healed up quite nicely. Apart from my left hand, I've got my fingertips are all numb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crikey.
So I have got no like fine motor skills within those fingertips. So I can't type or anything. Luckily, I can use my phone and it has like my voiceover on my iPhone. So I can use my phone all fun because it speaks to me.
Yeah.
Tells me everything I need to know. But yeah, using computer is a no-go now.
So, I mean, that's so tough. What other interests outside of poker do you have, Jordan? I mean, obviously the computer is a great way to, just access a whole lot of content and what have you. That's harder to use now. What sort of floats your boat outside of poker?
But I love my Formula One.
Oh, Lee loves his Formula One.
Yeah.
He's in the circle. He's in the circle.
Without even knowing.
Look at that. You can't say look, Lee. You can't say look.
No. Obviously, I can't.
What do you like?
But right, the point is, a couple of things have already been said tonight, and I must admit, and you must get this all the time, Jordan. But it's this thing of going. I mean, I said to you earlier on, and after the minute I said it, I thought, "Oh, should I have said that?" So I said, "What have you got in your sites?" Yeah,
I saw that. I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
But I guess the point is,
I thought that's cruel. It's cruel that.
And I think in Nottingham, there's a couple of times where you just give a little quick back because it's just natural language that people say without even giving it too much of a thought. And I guess it's just you shouldn't just worry about it. Is that a fair thing, or it's just it's just?
I don't get offended. I don't care if it's not meant in a malice way. Who gives a fuck really? Like say what you want to me, ask what you want to me. If it's ignorance, I'm fine with that. As long as it's not like I'd rather you be publicly curious than publicly ignorant.
Yeah,
I think it's good. Like people.
That's a really good way of putting it.
It is.
Yeah.
I sort of you get a sense when you're talking to somebody, right? So it can be, particularly today, it can be discussions where people aren't educated enough, can be very sensitive, right? And some people are insensitive to them and others are very, very super sensitive around them. And there's probably a sweet spot in the middle. But, I've always found in my experience that if you talk to somebody for a little while, you get a quick understanding of, whether they're comfortable with the position that they're currently in and the discussion that you're having, or whether in fact they're maybe less comfortable, in which case you just have to tread more carefully. But I immediately got a sense from you, Jordan, that like you're dealing with it in a super positive way, which is very impressive. And tell me, I mean, is it easy to be so positive? Do you have your moments where it's harder?
Of course I do. Of course I have my ups and downs. Shannon knows more than anyone. Yeah. But of course, it's very difficult. I'm not going to make out that it's easy because it's not.
Yeah.
Like I think losing your sight, I think it's probably up there one of the worst disabilities which can happen, because people don't realise how life limiting losing your sight could be. Like the quickest way to explain it to someone is close your eyes and walk to your toilet right now.
I know, yeah.
Or close your eyes, go make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Close your eyes, go make a sandwich. Just little menial tasks which you think, I should be able to do this. I should, but those are the tasks which get me down the most. If I struggle doing something which I say which is simple, which should be simple, that gets me frustrated, and that
Yeah.
gets me, yeah.
Yeah, Lee, Tom, and I in Nottingham. We at one point during the Saturday or Sunday, and obviously you were sat in front of our APAT desk for quite a while, so sort of watching a little bit of you play, and just conscious that you're there, and partially because we've been doing this for so long, and I think we're very player focused. Partially, we want to make sure you're okay, right? We're keeping an eye. We just want to make sure like you're getting you're getting respected and what have you. And thankfully, absolutely no issues there. But we did have a discussion at one point and we said, right, which sense would you lose? Because, by nature of you just being there, you create a topic of conversation, which in itself is educational, right? It's, you start asking that question, the one that you've just asked, and that is, picture yourself walking to your loo with your eyes closed. Could you do it? And I think a lot of us would probably struggle with that. I mean, I'm at an age now where I need to get up once a night to go to the loo, and I can't get beyond the box at the end of our bed. I got to be honest, I bang into that thing every night. So I there's no way I'd get to like across a landing and stuff with stairs and all of that nonsense close by. But we did ask the question, which sense would you lose? And I have to say, I think we started with taste and stuff. Your eyesight would be, I think, the last one that we would want to lose. That is a tough place to be, but you seem to be dealing with it incredibly well. I don't know where to sort of go. That's very tough. The MS. What is your prognosis there? So is there anything you can do to help yourself there?
Lots of vitamins, eating correctly,
Yeah.
good bit of exercise, and that's basically it. I'm on good medication for it. I'm on something called type Savary, which I take I'm going for my infusion tomorrow, actually.
Good.
I go to the hospital and it's an hour-long infusion.
Every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks. I've been on that now for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
Well, about 9 years I've been on that now, and it's kept it ever since I've been on that properly. I haven't had a big relapse since. I've had a lot of little things crop up, but nothing major, so I'm quite lucky to be on that, really. But that's the thing, I see I don't know, the eyesight is the thing which petrifies me the most, because I don't want it to go completely nothing.
No.
But I think it probably will get to that stage. I want to keep a little bit of light, but I don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Because my right eye, this one, has always been a bit worse than this one throughout my life. And this one's now gone. I'm like, how long do I have left until this one falls off? And now, so I don't want nothingness, because I want to belong to the world. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, you'll always listen. You will always belong to the world. But I understand exactly what you mean. Is there anything happening technology-wise, medically, that you could, and deservedly so, maybe get a bit lucky? They're testing a medicine, they're testing an operation, they're doing brainstem stuff. Is there anything coming that could give you a bounce back from where you currently are?
No, not in my lifetime. I think I'm probably 2 generations too late for that to happen. Like me and my friend talk about it. He's in the same situation as me, which is good. I have a friend who's lost all his vision. Yeah. When he was about 20, and he's in the same boat as me, and we talk about it quite a lot. He's a really good friend. We talk about all sorts of scenarios and situations. And we think we're probably about 2 generations too late for there to be help out there.
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. We also, because again, we're just interested, right? We were also having a discussion at Dusk Till Dawn as to, we sort of wondered naturally whether in fact maybe you didn't have sight when you were born. What would it be like to not have had sight at all in your life? Do you ever consider that? I mean,
it would have been a lot easier if I had no sight or lost my sight when I was young.
Yeah, you had your life sorted, what you wanted to do.
Because you need to learn. You learn the way you act and the way you walk and the way you interact with the world and just the way you interact with the world. What you think the world is, I always will see that from a sighted point of view. But if I was born with no vision, I wouldn't know a difference.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
you don't miss anything you don't have.
Yeah.
I know friends who have been born from blind from birth, and they don't want vision. They
Wow.
don't want it. Yeah, they don't want it because it's such a change of
Crikey.
circumstances to their life. Because this is what they know. If you're blind from birth, you don't know any different. So
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? Absolutely. I mean, it's just an incredible discussion, and we probably don't have these discussions often enough because, I mean, it's more interesting probably than anything we've ever discussed on this stream before. And we have discussed a lot of, a lot of non-poker stuff. We've discussed everything from religion to sport to you name it. But the concept of somebody who is blind from birth not wanting to have that opportunity to maybe see because it would be such a significant change is, wow, it's mind blowing in some respects.
I don't want to say that to all people.
Of course,
just one person I know with an opinion. Someone else who's blind might have a completely different opinion. Would love to have their sight. So I wouldn't want to label that to everyone. In that,
No, but even for one person to say it, I think just shows that it's possible for somebody to say that. Incredible. So changing tact here slightly. How did you two meet? Did you use some great chat up lines? I mean, you seem to be doing really well there, Jordan. I have to say.
To be fair, I think the dog helped me. To be honest,
I think the dog helped me.
Met on Tinder, and I remember the dog, but not him. And I think about it, but I remember the dog, lovely dog behind me, who's fast asleep, but I can't remember his photos.
That's a lab. Is it Labrador?
Yeah, yellow lab.
Oh, Lee, I'll hand over to you. You are the Labrador expert.
It's all about the Labradors, you see. That's what it's all about. You can get away with a lot with the Labrador.
He's all retired now, so he's not a guide dog anymore. He's just a full-on pet now.
How old is he?
He's turning 11 soon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. We've got so our eldest at the moment is 12, and then we've got a younger one who's she'll be 3 next week actually. So we've got two black labs ourselves. So it's
white now.
Yeah, he's white now, not yellow anymore.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's what happens. They all get grey. It's over.
Hey,
over
don't
time,
we all?
But it is interesting that the whole kind of discussion thing. I don't know whether something you will have picked up on or not, because there's lots of different chat on socials about kind of you playing poker, and there's some really interesting discussions from a couple of the kind of tournament directors about maybe needing to put this kind of thing into their rules and into their kind of what they do at venues. And I thought, well, do you know what, that in itself, if this exposure has generated that discussion to go, well, actually, yes, we should have rules and agreements of what can happen if somebody who's blind wants to play poker at our venue. Yeah, why shouldn't there be what's allowed and what isn't allowed? Because that was the interesting discussion. Obviously, was what should be allowed and what can Shannon say and what can't. And I don't think anything's ever necessarily been written down in the kind of the rule books, so to speak. Yeah. I think you guys have got it kind of perfect. How did you come up with? How did you come up with? Is that just right? Okay, well, this is the information I need. I don't need any more than that. So let's just go with that, because everyone seems to be quite cool with it.
Yeah, it's just, only factual information, no opinions.
Yeah.
So I can't say, does he look a bit cagey, or does he look this, or I can't ask her questions which involve Shannon's opinion. It just has to be all factual information.
What's my cards?
What's my cards? What's on the board? How much has he bet? How much has he got left behind? It's just,
I think it would be, it would be fantastic if that was written into kind of the kind of the poker rules as what's allowed and what's not allowed. We've had players. So there's a deaf poker society that play regular games, and we've had them play APAT events in the past. And again, it's a different feel to the whole thing, because obviously they visually are picking up all of their information and are able to kind of lip read a little bit and can gather information from there. But it still amazes me the amount of poker players that have all their faculties about them and miss out on so much information at a poker table.
That's because their minds
As you
are
said earlier
elsewhere.
on.
Yeah, their
Yeah,
minds
as you
are
said
elsewhere.
earlier
I
on.
really have to
Yeah.
zero in on what is going on. Other people just sat there, just who can see, who can hear everything. Their minds are elsewhere because they just look around, yeah, whatever, do this, do that. I really have to zero in on what's all going on. So I don't miss information. At pub games, I tell people, no, you can't bet that. The blinds are this. You can't do this. You can't do that, because I'm paying more attention than most people. I believe.
So how aware would you be? Where would you be of somebody that sat, with their headphones on and they've got their phone out and they're playing online as well at the same time? And will Shannon let you know that there's that type of player at the table, or do you just pick up on the fact that actually they just don't seem to be interacting at all with anything that's going on?
Well, you get that. I'm always quite vocal at the table. I try to talk to people. I try to make jokes, and you can tell which ones are interested and which are not, and then you can put player type on the ones who are talking to me and the ones who aren't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the Matrix. It's like the Matrix, Lee. You've no idea it's happening around you. All that shit is falling from the air and you have no idea. You can't see it. It's amazing. Listen, a question from Dan. Dan asks, how difficult was it thinking about your stacks, but also thinking about the team standing dynamics? So we haven't touched on this. Of course, the UK Team Championship is a team event. There are team dynamics. In some respects, it's as much about points as it is about pounds. So this one's a bit different. So, how conscious of you through the whole 2 days were you of the fact that it's a team event, you're representing fair play, you want to get as many of you as deep as you can to get a medal, ideally enough points to win the whole thing, and you guys were in the running right up to late. What awareness did you have of that, and was that a complicated extra layer of data that you're having to deal with in addition to the table stuff?
Not really. I got Ben running backwards and forwards to the monitor, and he kept coming back to me. He said, "Jordan, we need to finish this. We need to be 2 more places, and we lock up 4th." And then and then I kept asking him again, "Oh, how much do we lock up 3rd?" Off he goes, runs off, looks again, and.
So, and did you enjoy that? We put a picture up earlier of the team, or of most of the team. I'm not. Where the rest of them? So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Shannon is one of those. So I'm going to go back to 6. Where are the other 2? Did they not show up for the picture?
They were late.
They were late.
For Christ's sake. They're not coming next time. Did they score points?
And they went out on day 1 as well.
They went out on day 1. There you go. Yeah. We'll have to go back to the drawing board on those 2. But Shannon, you became a de facto member of the team, right? And you were treated like a de facto member of the team. But somebody, I think it was probably Ben or somebody said, "Oh, Shannon's getting a share of the money." And I'm not sure whether it was Tom or Lee or somebody on our side said, "Do you know what? That's brilliant. That makes a lot of sense. She will also get a medal." I mean, you walked away with a medal. Was that a nice sort of memento of the weekend?
Oh yeah, it was lovely. They're both like on our bookshelf.
Sweet.
I have a poker shelf on there. But once they told me that we could get a medal if they got 3rd, I was kind of like, all right, guys, I want a medal now. Come on.
I had a chat with I want to say a young chap. He wasn't that young. He was in the military, and it was at a tournament maybe 6 or 7 months ago, an APAT tournament, and he was having a very sort of heated but light but heated at the same time discussion with Tom over he finished 3rd in an APAT event, or in an event at an APAT festival, but because it wasn't an APAT event he didn't get a medal, and he was sort of saying, well, I want my medal. Shannon, do you know how many players have played APAT for years and they've never won a medal? And they the common terminology is the money goes. At some point, you win a couple of grand or whatever, it's going to go on stuff, right? And it'll be gone. But you always have the medal, and you can't buy them unless you've got 50 quid on eBay because somebody sold one once for 50 quid. You can't really buy them. They're really nice to have, So, it's special. We were delighted to see you walking away with a medal, both of you. And hopefully it's the start of a trophy cabinet for poker. Do you have anything else in there at the moment, Jordan?
I do. I've got a DTD one, but that's at...
Yeah, I need to get off your
that's at my parents' house, and I need to steal that back. So
There you go.
Yes.
It's definitely. So, I mean, I've just got to throw this in because Gaz has been back in the chat, and I just love what he posted up. He said, my mate said, how does a blind guy play poker? He said, at the end of the weekend, I responded, better than 313 other players.
That's pretty good. Oh, Ilse's
And
out there. Shall I do this? It was such a pleasure meeting both Jordan and Shannon at the APAT event. I was fortunate to sit next to Jordan for a while. Such an inspirational player, lovely couple. I think we're all agreed on that. Carl says, "How well
Carl's
does
question? This is a great
you like this
question
one? Let's do this.
From
How
Carl
well
Jones. This is good.
does Jordan think a top pro would do playing wearing a blindfold whilst playing poker? That's a great question.
I think they would do okay. Because because for top pros they use all the information possible to them, and they'll just need to use their hearing. Or I think they'll do fine because I don't think it's that complicated. Well, I would say that I don't really know the difference because even when I was playing live, it was just being my whole cards which were the difference. So I don't see it as a really big difficult thing. I think the pros would do fine with it.
Yeah.
Interesting. What was our Norwegian pro teenager?
I was about to say, and I don't know, Jordan, whether you would be aware of this or not, because I'm trying to work out kind of pitching exactly when you play poker. Do you remember a lady called Annette Oberstad? Who used to be a big online sensation. She was a net 15 online. I don't know whether that might have been
who
before.
won a tournament without looking at her home cards.
Yes,
Basically,
yes.
she
had a poster, right?
She put a post-it note on her screen so she couldn't see her own cards, and won an online tournament without seeing her cards at all.
But I guess she's seeing a lot of other information, right? But not her cards.
I just mention it because Shannon, you could maybe be putting your feet up. At the bar, and leave him to it because it's been done, so it's doable.
What the thing is about Annette, it's a bit naughty. Yes, she won a tournament. It was only a sit and go.
No, it was only
To be only sit and go. It's a good point. Well made.
But it was proving the point, which is quite right. Which is that it doesn't always matter what your cards are. It's about your position and where you are on the table and your chip stacks and what you can do. And I guess you probably have a better handle of that information than most people do at the table because you're focused in on it. So you have an ability to. So I'm wondering whether there's certain elements of your setup where the assumption is you're at a disadvantage. And I wonder whether there's certain elements where actually, and we don't want to say this too loudly so everybody understands, but there might be certain areas where actually you potentially are at an advantage.
I'm not really sure. One of the best things I am personally good at, one of my main strengths, is I'm very good at reading people's cards. Reading people's whole cards, breaking down the story, making sense of what they've got. And numerous occasions I've called out what people have got, and people are like, oh, how you worked that out, and like how they, and people are shocked that I've done that before. And I'm not sure.
That's the Negrano thing. Used to absolutely love that with some of the the older World Series of Poker series. They used to really focus in on players trying to assess what their opponents had. I think we see less of that today. It's almost overproduced, really. But the Negrano thing of sort of saying, you're not here, you're not there. He's reading through the story, as you said earlier on, Jordan, and he's reaching with, I think you've got a pair of queens or a pair of jacks, just based on everything. Oh, that's pretty cool that you've got that sort of skill set, because it is a skill set. Some players are instinctive and, others are not, basically, which is me. And that's why we don't play. We do stream.
You should. I think it's really important to always work out what people's ranges are. Keep narrowing it down. See what makes sense. Like the big bluff I called off on the UK PC. I remember that one. I think it was 7-8 of diamonds, and the flop came 2-3-8. I was happy days, and there was only 11,000 in the pot, and the guy bet straight away, bet quickly as well, which is another tell when people bet quick, but normally they're bluffing. But and he bet 10,000 straight away into 11k pot, and I was like, on that board, what are you betting, Matt, to get me to call you with? Because it was such a not a polarizing board. There's nothing really there. There was no flush draw on board, so. And then I just called him down to the river, and he went all in on the river. And I still called him with just my 8, and he had king queen, I think, king queen off, and and I took him out of the UKPC early on, just because of that bit of information. Wow. Like I thought it was quite obvious, and I was like, trying to build the picture at the end. Used a couple of time banks to be like, am I right here? And I was like, I think I am. So I just trusted my gut and did the call, and it was correct.
Yeah. Wow. Great story. Tell me, Jordan, are you solely a Hold'em player? Do you try your hand at Omaha at all?
No. That's
dangerous. That's a bit dangerous. Too much info going on there.
Just looking at Shannon's face of what, four cards? No. We're not going there.
Yeah, there'll be too much to remember in Omaha because there's
That's a good point.
There's so much variance, and there's so much, like, I would guarantee I'll be hitting straights and flushes I didn't even know I had constantly. And
to be honest, with Omaha, you might not even need Shannon. You just go, I raise. I don't think it matters because your hand isn't established till the end anyway.
And it's at this point, I think we should say, we're really grateful that you come on the show. We wanted to show our appreciation. So we put you into the 8 game in London in a couple of weeks' time. So only 8 different variants for Shannon to get her head around. But you've got a couple of weeks to learn all you need to. It'll be lovely. You'll have a great time, honestly.
I'm sure.
Listen, Jordan. I remember we do. I don't know if you've been to an APAT, WCOAP. I'm going to assume not. If not, you must get. So the WCOAP is the World Championship of Amateur Poker, and we've been running it for 15 years. It's our most popular festival of the year. So it plays out typically at dusk till dawn, albeit we've had it in various other casinos. But it'll be at dusk till dawn again this August, and there's 25 plus bracelet events, right? So it's like a mini World Series of Poker. So you have stud and Omaha and an 8 game, and we've had Chinese, crikey, come on, deuce to 7. We've had every possible format of poker. And of course, even though our player base is recreational, don't consider themselves pros, they love playing the mixed games. So those fields will be smaller. You might get 50 or 60 players in an event playing for a bracelet as opposed to the 300, 400 that you would see in a main event. But they're very keenly contested. And of course, we're proud of this, that we do this and we offer all of these games. So we have tried on occasion to stream them. So we'll put cameras up, and Lee and I or somebody may very well try it, and we immediately go, not a clue. I mean, what are we supposed to do? They've got more cars than they normally have. It's like, how do you call some of these stuff? So I appreciate to play some of these games with all of the variables at play. Quite challenging.
Yeah, I'll stick to Hold'em. I don't mind limit Hold'em. Just either one of the two.
Oh well, for sure. If your diary,
as you say, there'll be enough Hold'em games at the World Championships in August to keep you entered. Obviously, now we know that you're only allowed one visit a month to dusk till dawn. That's what we've been agreed. We don't want to be getting involved in any relationship issues. But curious to know though. So obviously, you can't play online, so it's tough to satellite into anything. So you are having to, I guess, just try it. Unless you can play a live satellite, you are pretty much having to just buy into these events. So, at the end of the day, there's bankroll management that comes into play for any poker player. So I guess the idea, as you say, of getting some more exposure and seeing where that leads might be good. So where would your ambitions go to? I'm guessing maybe further afield than Nottingham, perhaps. I mean, would you want to go to?
The dream is obviously the main.
Yes, we're going to Vegas, Shannon. We're going to Vegas. The little chapels in Vegas, right? You could do the main, do the wedding, you could do all of that stuff.
I joke about that. She was like, we're getting married in June this year. And I joke
You?
about
Sorry, you two are getting married in June?
Yes.
Wow.
Not long
That is
now.
awesome. That is awesome.
And I joke saying, "Oh, we should go to get married by Elvis. We should go to Vegas and get married by Elvis, and then we can have a honeymoon, have a win." And I'm like, she's not impressed by it.
No.
Just show her The Hangover, right? Hangover 1. It will convince her that it's the way to go. Believe me.
Have either of you?
She's
have
not
either of you
marrying
been?
Bradley Cooper. She's marrying
Have either of you been to Vegas? Have you been before?
No.
No, I want to.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, cool.
Possibly,
You'd have
possibly in November.
You'd have a. Well, November is a
Grand
really
Prix.
good time to go to
Grand
Vegas.
Prix. He knows what he's
'cause
doing
as
here,
I say,
Lee.
I was there last year for the Grand Prix, the first one out there, and it was an incredible experience. Yeah, it's absolutely super. But yeah, if you haven't done Vegas, you say you'll love it. And from a poker point of view, obviously, it is just it's just absolutely incredible. And of course, but what will be interesting is obviously when you play at Dusk Till Dawn, kind of everybody there kind of knows what you guys do, and it's all kind of cool. Obviously, the US would be a whole different thing, and you see a whole mix of players playing. There was a guy playing the main event last year that was playing with his looking at his whole cards with his feet, I think, wasn't it? Because he had no use of his arms and things, and they have all these different rules of what you can and can and can't do in these tournaments. So it'd be fantastic to see how you would experience Vegas. It would be awesome, but maybe not for the wedding. Let's be sensible about this. Let's be sensible about this.
That was one of the whole big reasons I started playing poker again, because when I lost the vision I did have to read my whole cards, I was like, oh, this is I hated it. I was like, I loved poker and I was gutted. So I was looking up online, and then I saw a blind person playing the main event.
Yes.
And then I was like, then I realised how he was doing it, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And that's when I asked Nottingham about it. I gave them an email, and they were like, oh yeah, it's fine, come. They were perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
Super.
It's interesting. One of our long-standing APAT members, Carl Pilgrim, so he put up a beautiful post, just basically saying how poker is a bit of a leveler, really. How it's one of those kind of pastimes or sports which is competitive, but actually is pretty much open to just about anybody can sit down and play whatever might be going on in your life, whatever, you can sit down and have a competitive game of poker, which is I think is why we all love it so much.
Absolutely right. Listen, I've got a viewer who has a question, right? It's not a question relating to Jordan and Shannon. He's just simply saying, is this a pre-recording? So this is coming over from Twitch, right? So it's not a pre-recording. It is live. The viewing numbers are probably low on Twitch because we are promoting this on Facebook. So this is going out on Facebook and YouTube and the APAT website and Twitch. But Twitch is a bit of it's out there. We use that for different stuff. So we are live, very much live, and we're learning a lot of things here. So the very best of luck to you guys in June. We'll be expecting an invite. We're happy to come. We'll buy flowers and all of that good stuff, right, Leigh? And
June,
everybody,
say. Yeah.
and everybody at APAT, right? We'll make this a big one, right? We'll make it special.
We've actually had an APAT. We've had an APAT wedding out in Vegas. Actually,
we've had APAT weddings everywhere, my friend.
We did actually. I've got it's an interesting question from Ilse in the chat. Just curious to know how you categorize players.
Good question,
Jordan. So you mentioned that you categorize players at the table. So.
I think the same way I think other people do. The same way other people, the quiet player, and I'll ask Shannon, and I do ask Shannon, like, oh, what is he like? And Shannon will be like, oh, he's got his head up, and they're going to be, most likely they're going to be a loose aggressive player, just the stereotype. Or you get the older gentleman who's a bit quiet, you're like, oh, you just know he's going to be a bit tight. And I think it's the same way everyone does. I think it's the same way. That's just the generalization of when you first sit down at the table.
I love it. It's so simple.
Shannon, do you pick up on the lingo? Are you getting pretty good with all the poker jargon that gets thrown out now?
After 6 years, I'm getting there, but it's only the last couple of years when I've really helped him that I've started to get it.
Do you use any of it in day-to-day life?
Don't think so.
Not yet. Not yet.
yet.
Okay. Well, yeah. It will come. I know that for a
Yeah,
fact.
she calls me Big Slick sometimes. That's about all. No.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Big Slick. Sounds dangerous.
You always know when you've been in a relationship with a poker player for long enough, when you do start using kind of poker terms in general day-to-day life, and people look at you a little bit weird, like what are you talking about? So
No, shut up! You're drawing dead.
That's it.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
you go. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right, I've got another couple of questions, points. So Carl is saying, happy to invest in staking, right? So you've had 3 potential investors.
okay.
Happy to invest in staking if Jordan is interested. Also, I got married in Vegas, and he goes on to say, didn't make me a better poker player, however. So his Vegas experience was not great. Asa said on his ranking or rating from you, it's probably identified as a lunatic on day 2. Which, to be honest, yeah, that could fit. Asa does play like a lunatic from time to time. What else have we got? So Ilse asks again, are there any audio tells that you pick up on? I'm gonna say one thing before you answer this one, Jordan. Simon Trumper, right? He was a great player. Used to be quite famous for his tells, right? For his ability to pick up on tells in other players. And one of the things that he said, which I thought was really interesting, is players, they look at their cards, and if they don't like them, they tend to just let them go quickly. So you can hear the snap of the 2 cards landing back on the table. Whereas if they like them, they might take an extra millisecond, an extra half a second to look at them and admire them. And the snap back on the table is slower. Now, that could be an audio tell, right? Have you found any audio tells in that respect? I mean, we talked about riffling chips earlier. Are there any others?
I would say, I don't know how if people throw in their bets or if people push in their bets. It's very like if they want to be aggressive with their betting, I'm going to throw my chips down or I'm going to place them down. I think that's quite a big tell as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what for.
Yeah, you don't want to give too much away.
Definitely don't give too much away.
Get that.
Yeah. There are little things. I think timing's a big thing as well.
Yeah.
Timing's a massive thing.
So if
they're taking ages, but they've either got the nuts or they've got nothing. It's quite polarizing when someone takes a long time to put a bet or put a call down.
Yeah, it's not a science. It's not a science. Difficult, but clearly you are scanning for everything. Tom Banks asks, define older gentleman asking for a friend. He could have been referring to my midnight sort of walks around the house in the dark. I'm not entirely sure. Dan says, wait till Shannon counts the shopping bill in big blinds. Bloody hell, that's 30 big blinds we just spent there, Jordan. 30 big blinds. The price of shopping is going up. All right, that's all we've got. Do you what do you guys do for a bit of fun outside of poker? Do you do music, or what other things are going to keep life interesting?
Well, we got our dog. We love our dog.
Yeah.
We take him out as much as we can. We love going out to restaurants. We're just like normal. And Shannon loves her arts and crafts. She's very arts and craftsy. Yeah. Yeah, and we're just whatever hobbies. We love F1. I love F1. Yeah.
I get a silent treatment for 4 hours.
Yeah. Who's your F1 team, or is it a driver?
I like Lando.
Yeah. Character.
I like Lando. Obviously, I'm a Hamilton fan. Gassed that he's going to Ferrari. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Hamilton going to Ferrari, that was the big news of the weekend, Lee. What do you make of that? We haven't discussed any sporting stuff tonight. And I'm looking for it, and I'm going to hold this up, right? I'll invite some criticism if you like, but this is Arsenal against Liverpool, for which I've just walked in from this evening. A big defeat for my club Liverpool. Lee, you should throw some abuse at me because I probably deserve it.
Don't need to. I'm quite cool with it, to be
Just
perfectly
happy.
honest.
Just happy with the quietness of it all.
I'm quite happy to talk F1. I've got no problem with that. That's good. No, of course F1's quite a visual sport to participate in. So you're following. It's just basically taking in all of the commentary and all of the information that's going on.
I love the engine. Yeah, I love the engineering behind it.
Yeah.
I love the technical aspect. I love the strategy, and of course, I like. But Martin Brundle, very good on commentary. Has to be said. It's not like I don't know what's going on, because they're very, very good at saying what's happening.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say, when I was a kid, in sporting my club, that was all done on radio. So I was born in the west of Ireland, and when I was like 7, 8, I was like a fervent fan, really mad. And we had about 20 or 30 people in my little town who used to be super passionate Liverpool fans. And, I remember many a Wednesday night when Liverpool would be playing European games, over in Romania or Russia or somewhere, exotic. And we would all gather at this guy's house, and we'd have to stand outside the house beside a telegraph pole, and he would hold a little transistor radio up, I kid you not, and at a certain angle, you would be able to hear BBC radio, and you would get the match. You'd have 20 or 30 people stood outside this guy's house with somebody holding a radio up for like an hour and a half, listening to a football. And I still think football is a better experience listening to it than actually watching it, because the commentary is completely different. The commentary is super descriptive on the radio, but on the telly, because you're seeing it, they're not as descriptive. It's a completely different experience. I was in Malta for work 2 weeks ago. Liverpool played a game on the Sunday and a game on the Wednesday. Both of them I listened to on the radio. It's fabulous. Just took me back to being a kid and listening on the radio again. So I can see that you would get great value from, high quality commentary of a sports event. I mean, that's fantastic. Do you do podcasts and stuff like that, Jordan? Do you listen to that sort of stuff?
I do. I do, but it all depends who, of course.
Yeah.
What do I listen to podcasts? Not really. The odd thing. Not. I have done, but I'm not like I don't follow anyone in particular.
Yeah. There's a ton of podcasts just growing. It's growing at a huge rate of knots. They're sort of saying that more people listen to podcasts now in their own time, a bit like on demand TV. You listen when you want to. That are listening to live radio. They tune in, and of course it can be very niche. So if you're into Formula One, you can listen to a Formula One podcast where they might have somebody talking for an hour about the race that's just happened. I was massive into stuff like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, and they do lots of podcasts on that sort of stuff.
We've started watching Walking Dead. We've literally just started this week.
Really?
We've never watched it before.
How are you doing that? How are you managing to watch The Walking Dead? Does Shannon have to whisper in your ear, there's a guy biting another guy's arm here? How does that work?
You can kind of picture what's going on. It's not that difficult, is it? With zombie noises, someone screaming, you're like,
someone's getting bit.
Someone's getting bit, and someone's like, yeah. But on a lot of TV programs now, there's audio description.
Yeah.
So you if you go on Netflix, like you can turn a show on, and most of them will have audio description now, which you can turn on, and they'll.
Yeah.
I mean, because
that's a good point.
One good thing, because I still got a little bit of vision left, a bit of light, and I used to be able to see it. I can picture things quite well still.
Yeah, of course.
Which is handy.
Does with the little bit of vision that you have left, Jordan, does something like a VR headset, can you get any value from something like that? So, being able to watch something in a VR headset, so it's very close to your eyes, but it produces quite a big image.
I probably could have 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, but less so today.
Yeah, not now. Yeah. Because I've got tunnel vision as well. So it's like looking through like a little pinhole.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just all, that's that little bit of light and shadow there.
Yeah,
all
crikey.
around the outside is nothing. So it doesn't matter when things are close. It doesn't really help too much.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Jordan, I think, and Shannon, I think we're going to start bringing this thing to an end now. I think you've been very generous with your time. I think we've learned a hell of a lot from you both. I mean, my takeaway is you're just super positive. I respect that hugely. Amazing. When can we next see you playing poker? You're talking about possibly WSOPC in March. Are we going to talk you into coming to another APAT before the season is out? You've got the whole rest of the year. Are we going to see you somewhere along the line?
Maybe if I can win one on poker raffles. Little plug there.
He's win ones on poker raffles. You shouldn't be doing that gambling. No, don't do the gambling.
I was thinking about 10 minutes, and I thought, so you can't play online. So, this is a great little plug for actually. You should just try and win a package on poker.
No.
I thought, that's probably a bit over the top. I won't mention it. So, but you've done it beautifully. So thank you very much.
Ironically, we came up with poker raffles because it's there for players who don't want to spend an entire Sunday trying to satellite into a big event, or maybe feel that they don't have an advantage against the pros and stuff. It's just you flick £1 in or £2 and you take your shots and you've got the same odds as anybody else. So it's funny that you should mention it, but definitely we're not looking for you to plug poker raffles. APAT's about the cheapest tournament you can come to on the UK scene, where you'll get a really good structure and a good welcome and stuff like that. But you've made your impact at APAT. We all know you now, and there are many players who started playing with APAT back in 2006 and 2007 who still play with APAT today. A lot of good players too. So I guess our final message to you both is, we'd love to see you back. If you get a chance, come. We'll be just super happy and excited to see you if you're able to do so. But that aside, huge look in your ongoing poker exploits, Jordan. And beyond that, more importantly, of course, the best luck to you both with your upcoming marriage and rest of life and all of that sort of stuff. That's our big news story from tonight. Wouldn't you think so, Lee?
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say is, you have no idea the amount of time we had to say to approve everybody that wanted to join the group just so they could comment in your thread. It was
it took ages.
Honestly, seriously. So can I send an invoice for my time? Is that okay? Yeah, that won't be a problem. Yeah. It was just an explosion of just people wanting to comment and get involved and say something it was just from all over the world. And for that, it was just great, the fact that that people were interested, and you should embrace that and see where the journey leads, because it's just was amazing.
To qualify that comment, we don't let everybody into the APAT group. Of course, we do let everybody in who's interested in poker and stuff, but there's so many spammers out there and so many nut jobs that we review everybody that comes in. So, and particularly if they make a comment, right? If they make a comment, we have to read the comment, make an assessment as to whether they're having a go or whether they're being genuine. We might have to look at their profile to see whether they're going to spam us in a week's time. There were literally hundreds of people making comments. We're having to look, oh shit, here's another one. Oh, but we've got to put it up. So yeah, it was funny, but it was great at the same time.
And I genuinely mean that. And you said it at the top of the show. Embrace it and see where that journey might lead for you.
It's a strange opportunity. I never thought which was there. It was just because like APAT, it's like it's not a massive tournament, but if I cashed in the WSOP and made a deep run in that, it would have even bigger traction.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just from a pure winnings point of view. But APAT's a funny one because, again, so many players, players who've made final tables of an APAT, players like Liv Boree, for example. Toby Lewis has played APAT. He was on the World Series of Poker main event final table last summer. But, Toby was on our forum playing online as part of the Southampton poker team in the APAT League. So many players have used APAT as a proving ground, multi-day tournaments, good structure, competitive. We learn how to play at that level. And then when we're ready, we move on up. And they've done really, really well from it. So it's a great place to prove yourself and get really confident around it. But clearly you've been playing for a number of years. You're a confident player. You feel that the time is right to step up. We're just going to watch this space to see how it all pans out for you. And of course you have our best wishes, Jordan and Shannon too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I think we're going to call it a night at that, Lee. Is there anything else we've got to cover off?
We certainly are. No, you've just nailed it. And I guess the next opportunity for those that want to play APAT is going to be in the UK. We have got an event over in Germany happening next week. That's a sold-out team event over in Ash. So if you can head over and play the non-team event stuff over there if you want to. It is a great experience if you want to head over on the Czechia-German border. Other than that, we will be in London at Aspers on the 21st of February to the 25th of February. We've got 15 events there across 5 days in total. A whole mixture of stuff. I think there's 3 different day ones into the main event and a whole load of other events at Aspers. Tom will be popping up details there how you can reserve a seat for that if you want to next week. He was at Aspers this weekend. For those of you that may have picked up on the KYC stuff at Aspers and are a little bit kind of like what's going on there, they're just getting a little bit tighter on asking information about customers. But don't worry, unless you're a real high roller, they're probably not going to bother you. That's all you need to know.
I think we're going to be okay there. Right, guys, we are going to call it a night there. Great to have had Jordan and Shannon on. Learned a lot there. That's been absolutely brilliant. Lee and I are going to be back next Sunday night. 9:30, Lee. Sunday night, not Friday night. Sunday night, right? Sunday night, yeah.
Sunday night.
Sunday night, 9:30. We will be back with more guests to talk poker and life and Trump. We got to talk about Trump. We haven't spoke about Trump in a couple of weeks. We got to get onto that. So we hope you have a great week up until then. And Lee, I think I should say this finally. At some stage in the not too distant future, we should be able to talk about our online schedule for season. What is it? 17?
Yeah, that will be in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so that's going to come shortly, guys. Right, so have a wonderful week, and we will see you next weekend. Night, everybody.